Over the next few decades, the metaverse will become immensely more advanced and integrated in our daily lives. Some people think the metaverse is just a hype, others believe it to be the greatest evolution of the internet. Together with the sharpest minds in this space, we are going to explore the future of the metaverse. We want to understand the impacts of this new world, and in this show, we will find the answers. Welcome to Metaverse Mentors. Okay, let's start in 3, 2, 1. So today we have Simon from Maison DAO. Thank you very much for being here. Very excited to speaking with you, Simon.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Samir. It's great to be here and have a chance to talk to you.
I think you are one of the first or rare guests at Metaverse Mentors who is actually building some sort of metaverse application and doing something within that. So I'm really interested learning more about that. But perhaps for the people that do not know Simon and do not know Maison DAO, can you give us a bit about your background and what you guys are doing at Maison DAO?
Yes, of course. I originally come from Poland, but for the last 5 years, I'm in Berlin, Germany, where I'm working in technology startups. In 2018, I was already working in blockchain development company, and already there were some developments about NFT games, and it was a avatar fighting game. So it was kind of early, and I was already thinking at that time that I want to connect fashion, which is what I was doing back in Poland, with technology, especially blockchain and AI. So that's how it's basically started. I wanted to connect my greatest passion and this admiration for technology to build a project. And Maison DAO is about this. We are building a virtual city dedicated to art and fashion. So it's like some virtual world, like a game that you can explore, where the things that you explore are actually art galleries, music clubs, fashion shows, fashion ateliers. And I think it's that's what really excites me right now, that we are building this as a DAO, as a decentralized organization.
Yeah, super exciting. Thanks for that background. And I think digital fashion is only emerging more and more, and I'm very excited what it holds for the future. You mentioned that you started with play to earn gaming in 2018. Very interesting because that was actually when the at the heart of the crypto winter. How did that come about? Were you already familiar with crypto, or how did you pivot into this space?
Yeah, basically, when I moved to Berlin and started working in technology startups, I was already researching fashion use cases. So not that much digital fashion, but actual real fashion. So I was exploring use cases like digital twin, membership club, loyalty programs, because I was already thinking that that's what you can do on blockchain actually, and that's what can bring real value to fashion. Yeah, so I was trying to recognize what would be the right use case for me to explore a business. So I was already researching it, and then after one of the startup jobs that I was having, I got opportunity to join this blockchain development company as a senior marketing manager, because that's my main profession. I'm a designer, but I also I'm a marketing professional, focusing on community building, digital marketing, event management. At least that's what I was doing before in Web 2 for most of the time. And now some of the things are actually helping me a lot in Web 3 ecosystems, right? Because it's about organizing events. Yeah, the space we are building, Edge City. It's a city on the edge between the real world and the metaverse, and that's where we see that brands from real world and but also digital designers can come together with collectors and users and build something great. So that's what it is about.
Yeah, I definitely think like your designer background and marketing experience comes in very handy yeah, to combine it as like a business leader. But now you are like combining everything and probably also having some additional tasks and responsibilities as a entrepreneur. What do you think? What do you feel are the main differences now leading this Maison DAO? Or I don't know, leading is perhaps not the most suitable question, most
Like,
suitable word in a decentralized autonomous organization. But yeah, starting this project, what do you think the differences are there?
so basically, what I think, I'm thinking about this issue, and not even an issue, but about this thing. And what I can say is actually building in Web3 is a bit like building a startup, right? So it is similar to building like a tech company. There is a lot of technologies involved in that. There are elements of fundraising. The I don't know, amount of stress or something like this. It's comparable as well. Yeah, you have a lot of meetings, a lot of meetings on high level. I mean, yes, strategy meetings and meeting with partners, meeting with investors, meeting with other stakeholders. And I think for this case is very much similar. The other thing that's similar is regulations. In many startups, yeah, that I was working, we were actually at the at the forefront, at the edge, right? So we are faster than the regulations that were coming most of the time, yeah, regarding AI, regarding deepfakes, regarding blockchain. Every startup that I was involved in had basically this thing, yeah, that it was basically before it was possible to guide it 100% how it should be, right? So I think it was already at the stage that the technology was a little bit faster. So I think that's also something what's similar in terms of metaverse NFTs right now. uh, when you ask about the differences, because I know that was the question, I think what is the main difference is, like, I think team building. I mean, in both projects, it's very important to work with the users and work with the community. But I think in Web3, it's still thanks to DAOs and other forms of organizations that you can build on chain. It's just possible to build organizations in a new way. And in startups, it is still um, hierarchical. Yeah, you can have flat hierarchies, but they are still there.
Hmm. Interesting. You mentioned also another inherently interesting point with the metaverse and actually the crypto space moving so fast that actually advancing even before regulations are developed. Do you think that's a positive thing or perhaps something that is scary because you don't know what to expect as a entrepreneur? How do you view that?
Sure. So I think thanks to previous experiences, it's not that scary, right? And it's not that yeah, that scary or that dangerous in this way, because that's what just happens. Yeah, that's how it is. The For regulators, it's not possible to follow with all the technological advancements in the same time. There are like phases, right? And I think that's the main reason for me. It's kind of good. Yeah, I like to be on a forefront of things and really uh, develop new things in new directions, right? So I think that's the price that you pay for it. Yeah, you have to be aware of it, that yeah, the regulations might come on a later stage. um, that can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you need to have some kind of agile and curious mindset in that regard. And yeah, you already took us through your like kind of day-to-day schedule, and I hear this very similarly in other podcasts as well. You have a lot of meetings as well with COVID. Fortunately, now the measures are receding a bit, but having a lot of meetings, working remotely. What would your day-to-day schedule and week schedule look like on top of the meetings that you have, or more specifically with the meetings that you're having? Because I don't know if you is your team, because you're a DAO, like completely dispersed globally, or you have some people around in your yeah, nearby in your geography, or what does that look like?
That's a very very interesting question. Yeah, no. we are quite dispersed. It is really like I always had this idea, as I mentioned, yeah, at least 4 or 5 years ago, to develop decentralized brand, decentralized organization. I had this idea, but for me it was connected to art co- uh, cooperatives, right? To art collectives, yeah, that you could run basically a business like this. It means you have, of course, yeah, like core members, you have outer members, right? There are some differences, but you can run an art project like this. And I thought it is possible to, thanks to blockchain, will be possible to do it actually in the future. And I think I was kind of right about it, and I'm happy that it went this way. Yeah, and in terms of our organization, we have one person in Ecuador, one person in India. I'm in Germany, and we have like 2 people there as well. Here, I mean, and our advisors are from both Italy, from fashion direction, and here from Germany, more on the finance side.
Oh, really interesting. I suppose you have quite an interesting sleeping schedule with all those different.
Exactly. That's was one of the topics, yeah, between like founders and organizers in this space. Yeah, you talk about, okay, like you wake up sometimes at 5 o'clock in the morning, yeah, because in Australia it's the perfect time for a call, and in the same time you have calls until like 11 or 12 in the night, because that's also, for at least for me, it's the ending time for US, right? So it's still kind of possible to have a meeting, and for me it's great. I have no problem with that. As I mentioned before, I was involved in many startups, co-founding some of them, and driving them through this stages of work. So I mean, I'm kind of I get used to it.
Yeah, sounds really familiar. The first podcast we had was Mark van Rijmenam was on our podcast, and he was calling in from Australia. So I had to do the first podcast at 4:30 in the morning.
Exactly.
Fortunately, I am a morning person,
Okay.
but that was still scratching the edges of my sleeping schedule. But it has something uniquely interesting to be aware that you are interacting and cooperating with someone on the other end of the globe and still being productive and able to share information. So yeah, sounds really recognized.
Cool. No, and also I think you had some question about more about the schedule, right? Because it was some part was now about the meetings, but it was also about what usually is happening. So of course, the kind of project I'm actually running with Maison DAO is, it is still a creative work. Like I'm doing the designs of the virtual estate in our city. I'm designing the city itself. So there's also a lot of creative work that I'm doing, like in the breaks, right, between the meetings and after the meetings. And on top of this, I'm working every day on collaborations for Maison DAO, because that's one of the reasons we exist. It's not only to have a virtual space, but to collaborate with others. So I'm managing collaborations with other artists, other metaverses, other brands outside of metaverse, to, yeah, to start campaigns, or to start some NFT collections together, to have some special videos. For example, now we are preparing a video for Lisbona Fashion Week for tomorrow. So that's something that I'm really excited about. One of the first official collaborations, yeah, because we started in December. So it's one of the first official things that's going actually on the Fashion Week from us. And there will be more, because there are some other coming this year. But this is like what I'm focusing right now. Yeah, this kind of creative work between the meetings. And usually I have from 5 to 8 meetings per day, like half an hour ones, and on top of this, sometimes this 1 hour longer ones with some advisors or some strategy partners. So it takes a lot of time, yeah, like yeah, 5 6 hours a day for sure, and then this other time for other creative tasks.
And yeah, it sounds like you're wearing different hats, like designing from one perspective, developing partnerships, looking at the schedule. So it's all combining that into one. But similarly, as an entrepreneur, it always sounds like, oh, very cool, starting different projects. But as you already mentioned, there also goes a lot of time in that. You have different time zones.
Okay.
How are you like kind of balancing yeah, private like leisure time and managing Maison DAO in that regard?
Sure. I think, of course, it's a difficult task. It's not easy balancing these things, and it's this thing is very much like the startup life. I mean, yeah, the startup entrepreneurs, they also wear many hats, and they have to be focused on many things at once. So I think that's something that yeah, that I also got used to during this 10 years. Yeah, because I'm doing this for the last 10 years, so it's not that new to have to focus on many things at once and manage the time, especially when in this kind of project like this, with Maison DAO at least. Here it is basically my main passion, yeah, my main interest, something what I always wanted to do actually. There were like many ways to come into this, right? But basically the that was something that I always wanted to do. So my free time many times it's also, reading digital fashion articles, right? And reading about what's happening in the industry. That's also my free time, which is a working time, right? And then I love Netflix, right? I love watching series. It's always good to relax and watch some cultural stuff, outside of the stuff we are actually building.
Yeah, and I think it's great that you're emphasizing like that the stuff that you're doing you're completely passionate about. So then it doesn't feel like work and it's not a trade-off between work or doing different things. You're just doing what you're liking. So that's great to hear. And yeah, to drill down a little bit deeper on Maison DAO, you have to establish some partnerships. You come from this digital marketing designing kind of background, having been leading startups in different phases. Can you walk us through like how Maison DAO, like this idea, the components have emerged and where you are now, and then maybe a bit fast forward into the future? Because I think for the listeners there are different components like okay, digital fashion, there is this city, there is a roadmap with particular garments and other components. Can you deconstruct that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much it's also a good kind of story. So I'm a designer myself, right? I have a skatewear brand, and that's something what I always that's always my passion. I'm a skater, and I love yeah, this side of things, and that's very it's very it's also like art driven and very much concentrated on fashion brands. There was a big connection between high fashion and skatewear like 10 years ago, 8 years ago. It started with Supreme having collaborations, and right now you have Louis Vuitton and Supreme kind of together many times. So yeah, for me it was always a part of it. I was having my brand. I was running this fashion startup in Poland. So I wanted to do this in a Web3 kind of way. And then when I realized, before joining this blockchain company, I was already thinking, okay, these are the use cases I want to do. It seemed like digital twin is one of the best use cases that I saw. Yeah, that you can have a physical item and then virtual item that you can either use on AR or some other like games. And this basically having a token proves that you have the original item as well. So I was thinking that that's a very good way to protect supply chains in fashion. And from this direction, I went to okay, so you have tokens for items, so that means that you can have users and customers who are having these tokens. They're basically forming a club of yours. So from this direction, I went okay. So it's a membership club that you can use digitally in every city. yeah, in like every around the world, yeah, in every space you're selling, you can actually have a different kind of club, yeah, more personalized to the space, more adjusted to the space. And from this direction, I went, okay, but it seems technology is not there, because there is no good technology for avatar creation. There are no good enough tools for easy digital fashion creation. There were, of course, very good. There was good software, but it was not that easy on, on this level of update that it's possible to build a whole platform around it.
Kinda right idea, wrong
Yeah,
timing.
yeah, exactly. And I was thinking about it from a few sides, and then I joined this blockchain development company as a marketing person, working with projects, but mostly on a like really blockchain tech side. There were mostly projects or in this industry, we're consulting corporates as well, who wanted to, yeah, go into blockchain direction or not. So there was a lot of like big high tech things, and then I realized that it will be possible in the future, right? Like I saw, okay, it's not possible now, but it will be possible in 3 years, 4 years. So I decided to wait for the right time to develop this idea more. And of course, I was preparing in the meantime. Yeah, I was preparing, was doing my own research for the last 4 or 5 years, regarding tools, regarding ways of running decentralized organizations, and especially my favorite topic, decentralized brands. Yeah, so how to run, because I said it the last time as well, that I think running a brand is a creative process, right? Even if it's like corporate brand, you still have people behind it who are actually constructing this art vision. And I mean, if it's possible to do it this way, that means you can also run it with the help of community, right? They can be also stakeholders in this process if you find a good way to involve them. Because from one way, in fashion and marketing, there was something like this. You can't ask the customer what does he want. Like he wouldn't know. He wouldn't know the answer. Like if you think about it from this perspective. But if you give him options, he can decide, yeah, what he likes more, what is, and then he can, on the later stage, vote with the wallet. So I was, exploring how to involve customer in maybe other ways, and that's where the membership club kind of went into this, because I thought you can have a geographically localized collections, right, for the club in the city or in the local area, and then those clubs between each other, they will form the centralized organization, right, because you will have different cities, different clubs, and they all vote together, for example, yeah, over some ideas and on a global scale, and then locally they run their own things as they want, yeah. So maybe they want to produce it locally, right, because it's in London, and they want to produce locally in London, not in Poland or Germany. So they can decide to move the supply chain of their production to actually England, right? And maybe the other decision that they could make is basically, do they want to celebrate the local holidays with a special collection, or maybe they don't want to do this, right, because they don't feel strongly about it, and there is no sense for this company to develop this collection, yeah. It would be so. I was thinking from this perspective, yeah, how to make decentralized organizations work, and I recognize that blockchain and tokens would actually serve these purposes. Yeah, this especially the coming of NFT tokens. That what changed the way I was thinking about it.
So you have this decentralized organization and you're facilitating these events like kind of globally. Would you see yourselves then either more as a digital fashion kind of service slash DAO, or more as a metaverse kind of DAO where you have this world or city available, or both?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had to
Yeah.
develop a value proposition, how would you describe it in 2 or 3 cents?
Sure. It's no, it's a culture metaverse that is focused on fashion and music and art, right? So the value proposition is around this. Like it's a creatives metaverse. Yeah. It's we will not have plots. It's actually, yeah, one of the most important things. Like of course anyone will be able to buy a plot, but the whole intention of virtual land is that it's a place for art galleries and music clubs, and for a special kind of spaces. Not anyone have a reason to have art gallery, right? Not everyone has a reason to run a fashion show. So it's not something that it's actually for every user. It's rather for creatives who really want to develop their collections and do it in a more organized way, with a space, like a permanent space on top of this, with the open space that you can run special events on a higher scale on. So I think that's the space we want to build, yeah, for digital collectives. That's mostly the case at the beginning. What we did is to invite 10 artists from different directions, like 2D artists, 3D artists, to our space, and that's the first district that's gonna be released in a soft launch. It will be like Genesis Act with the 10 artists. But on the next district that we are selling actually right now, we are selling this to art galleries and blockchain projects for private clubs. That's the sort of the use cases that we are exploring right now. So like a special locations for metaverse projects, for like a clubhouse, right? That's one of the use cases right now with mentoring from vending. Yeah, that's exactly the case. That and every project that is in mentoring, they are basically developing the clubhouses, and one metaverse clubhouse of mentoring will be actually in Edge City. So that's a perfect use case actually.
I'm actually extremely happy to speak with you because now I'm finally having the opportunity to speak someone who's like really creating a metaverse. And sometimes I'm like completely overwhelmed and blown away by how much metaverse projects are emerging, and then even compared like to the bigger centralized gaming companies that position themselves as metaverses and providing those serves, Facebook, for example, but many others as well. And then a question I have, but also a lot of people ask me, like, okay, if I would like to start a metaverse project, or I came across this project Maison DAO as an investor, but also as a user, how can I like kind of assess or understand why this Maison DAO, sorry for my friends, would be differentiating from those others? Because one, there are already much virtual worlds that are kind of positioning them as doing the same thing, and secondly, can look pretty similar to each other. How do you view that? Because I think that's quite a complex, or still something that's not really understood by the masses yet.
Cool. No, I think to start answering this question, I would start with the um, definition of metaverse that I'm currently using, and that I think answers a little bit of this question. So I believe metaverse, which we don't have right now, yeah, and everybody agrees about it. Um, Metaverse, it's an interconnected network of virtual worlds, yeah, that are interconnected, interoperable. So I think in this way, I believe everybody who's building a metaverse project, which is a virtual world, is actually building like a street in the bigger world, right? So I'm building my street, you're building your street, because we can make a educational project, right, or something for the people, where people can actually learn in the academy, and it would be like another address, right? And you can run it on your own. You don't have to build it in my city, for example, or another city. You can build your own application, right? Nothing stops you. And when you treat this definition, yeah, what I say as true, of course, I assume there will be many others, many other definitions. But when you treat this one as true, then it's not a problem. Yeah, I can have my sort of like fashion creative space. You can have educational space, and some other can have a yoga space or a golf space, which is actually happening, right, with golf metaverse. But yeah, that's what I think. So I wouldn't say that the whole reason, like the whole marketing campaigns of the world, should be basically about come to us. We only have the things that you'd like to see. I would say that our campaign is completely different. Come to us and explore what you can do in other metaverses, for example, right? Because right, like what the hell, like what's the problem in that? Yeah, in Web3 that's not a problem. Yeah, like if my users, yeah, from our kind of world are coming to the different world, they are bringing the assets there. If we build it interoperable and interconnected, but that means that they will talk there about our project, and some users of this project will come to our street, right? Because they will hear, oh, there's a fashion street that they can go. In a way, I'm using this metaphor. Yeah, that's a metaverse is like a street in a city. And in the street, as you can imagine, you have many. You have dark street, you have downtown. Yeah, you have cool spaces, you have like luxury area. So with Maison DAO, we are trying to exactly achieve this kind of feeling that we are this high end space for cool projects, for validated projects, also for brands from outside who are connected to luxury and fashion, because that's exactly what we are covering. We signed with creative agency from New York, one of the top ones, to actually develop partnerships with luxury brands to organize events and fashion shows. So that's the direction we are going. Yeah, there is a specific team, which is fashion, and also the idea of the world of the style is to be photorealistic in a way, like futuristic and photorealistic. So when you compare it to Sandbox and Decentraland, you can see clear differences, yeah, in terms of style limitations and also the idea of it, because Sandbox is still a space for games. It's social games. They are perfect, and it's amazing ecosystem, but it is a gaming space, right? There will be social club and a villa, but it is a game for gaming. And with the Central Land, of course, you can have events, and the events are amazing, and they can be on mass. But for example, in Edge City, you can create a special photorealistic experience for 50 of your 50 or 100 of your favorite collectors, yeah, and do a private show for them. And that's the kind of place we are actually building.
Yes, I really liked your analogy. I think it definitely makes sense with different streets, and maybe to, if we are playing with analogies on metaphors, it does also let me think on something we have here in the Netherlands, and you definitely also have in Germany, I think, like those kind of multi or international food fabrics where you can try out Vietnamese food, Brazilian
Yeah,
food, Chinese
yeah,
food, all in the same place. And one day you're like, okay, let's try Chinese food, and then you're like, okay,
exactly,
let's try
exactly.
Dutch cheese. But they are complementary to each
Yes,
other and not like
yes.
replacing one is better than the other. It just serves different
Yes,
purposes, right?
yes, exactly. And I think what I love the most in what we are building is also the freedom, right? I think the user should have this freedom to choose what he likes. So our value proposition for all the PFP avatar project is basically that we would like to integrate your avatars, right? Like we have no problem with this. If you have 10K collection of 3D avatars, we can integrate it to our city, and your users can use it. Yeah, you will have one another space where your users can actually go and explore events, right, and art galleries. Why not? Yeah, like why would I don't know, make somebody pay for it, or do something like this where this is actually in our goal. And in other spaces, you have a little bit of opposite direction. You have like buy our avatars. You have to buy our avatars to have our items on them, right? So I think that's the other direction. The other direction we want to go. We'll have our avatar collections. We'll have our avatar systems, but it doesn't mean we are not integrating Ready Player Me, which we actually did. Yeah, I was talking to Imu. We got. Of course, it's kind of easy to get the partnership, but I mean, we made this decision also consciously to have this partnership and to integrate Radio Player Me, because why not? Yeah, the more users can actually access our world, it's for the better. Yeah, so I think that's the direction we are also going.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And I think most people now, like exploring and studying developments in this space are quite kind of or crypto savvy or digital savvy. But let's say I'm a guy and believe me, those persons exist, and I think perhaps it's the majority. Like, I'm not still so familiar with these concepts. I'm like, okay, I like to go to, I don't know, buy a Puma shirt or Adidas shoes. Why in the world would I buy digital fashion? What would your response be there?
I think it's kind of for me funny topic always to answer this question, because I know it's valid. Yeah, I know it's valid, but at the same time, all the uh, all the people in sort of our age, they were buying stuff for their games in their lives, right? Like they were buying stuff on for Farmville Facebook, or they were buying I don't know, some virtual coins for some other games or web based, yeah, or like O game or like browser games. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So for me, that's what it is. Yeah, like you're buying virtual art. You can wear this art in games, and that's why you can buy it. If you are not playing games, and if you are not planning to attend social, I don't know, social events in digital space, of course there won't be much use for you to buy a digital fashion only for the collector's eye. Yeah, but it's also possible. Yeah, there are people who are collecting art like anything else, and digital fashion is for me art as well. Yeah, I really believe it's also art. It's not only like like you said. Yeah, you can go to the shopping mall and buy a good T-shirt from sports brand, which actually I love sports brand, and I also really believe we'll have some cool collaboration with one of the sport brands this year as well. And that would be one of the directions I'm thinking about. And when you ask me about this direct question, I would say, why don't the sport company reward you for buying a T-shirt in the real world? They would reward you with a virtual token of this T-shirt, so you can wear it in GTA 5, yeah, or some other game that you would actually play. Then it makes okay, right? Like then it's like okay, maybe yeah, like I'm buying one thing and I'm getting this as a bonus, then maybe I will wear it. And when you go like from this direction, then you can go to direction. Okay, like I can also pay for this experience itself, and that's the direction I think this world is actually going right now with Fortnite and all these other games. It is understandable that you can buy a skin and use it to express your digital identity, but in the same time, in most of these closed platforms, yeah, they're like walled gardens, you can't take those items away. Yeah, you can't sell them actually. So I think that's where the blockchain comes in. Of course, you could do it the other way around. You can build a marketplace and now selling and buying. Yeah, no worries. But what gives you the blockchain layer gives you this amount of ownership and security that it's not possible in other systems. It just, I believe, yeah, it's basically better this way. And there are some downstream, I mean, there are some downsides of blockchain, of course, and there are ways to crack the blockchains as well. As we know, there were some little situations that it was close to do it, and there were at least some blockchains were stopped, which means they're not operable, right? Where blockchain stops not accepting new transactions, it's very bad. Uh, and especially when you have many dApps running on it. But yeah, I think the blockchain layer gives it a lot of security to this buying and selling in those games and experiences. And I think that's what is the game changing. Yeah, it's like game changer, because if it was possible to buy it in regular games, then when you can do the same but with real ownership, it's a game changer. Yeah, people when they start using it, because of course that's also the case, people are always they should be encouraged to try it for their own. Yeah, like go in on the marketplace, like no, first start a wallet, go to the marketplace, yeah, and buy some first NFT, join some community and see how it is and why it is different to the web 2. And I think it is in many ways different.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I like the example with the tokens. And I think as we are speaking, there's also projects being developed like the other way around. Like, okay, you own this digital asset, which kind of triggers some additional interest into a particular brand, now I want to have the physical object of it as well. So it triggers each other interchangeably. And I think also in terms of sustainability, for example, these fashion brands cannot continuously continue infinitely creating and wasting all those resources, because the numbers on that regard are quite shocking.
Yes.
But if you have now a digital first approach, or like a hybrid approach from a fashion perspective, that's yeah, super interesting. But also we are depending on the macro trends that are happening in this world. Now there is some crazy things going on in East Europe, for example, but
Yeah,
that's
there is
something
that
that's
story.
far too big, and yeah, we don't know what's going to happen there. But also COVID, the measures, at least here in the Netherlands, is kind of residing. And yeah, what we saw in 2020 is that like all the digital stuff got skyrocketed. It
Yes.
was like catapulted. But now when it's fading away, what do you think it does? Do you think it will impact like the speed and yeah, the acceleration of all these metaverse projects, or do you think it will just continue developing, and that's ultimately the direction that we will be going towards with innovation?
I think the direction it's still will be still the same, but the players might change, and I think that's the crucial part. Yeah, there will be some companies that will just resign from these ideas. Yeah, maybe not Meta. Yeah, like Facebook, they invested a lot already, and it will be difficult. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that they invested a lot. They got a downside. Yeah, they lost a lot of value, and they either can go all in, and still lose, or they can start thinking about other ways how to develop this company further. But it will be difficult. It will be difficult because people in the space. Are open, I think, to use other solutions and other ecosystems. It seems, at least for me, there is a big need for metaverse, social media, which is basically also the case with the Edge City itself. I mean, we are social media of Web3. Yeah, it's instead of scrolling profiles on your Facebook app or whatever, you go to the city and see, okay, this is art gallery of this this project. This is art gallery of this project. This is the music club, so you go there, listen to music. It's the same as exploring the website, but you do it in 3D. So I think that's also the case for metaverse, that we are actually building new social platforms, and not only games or experiences. Be careful what you dream about. Yeah, I think that's the saying. Be careful what you dream about, because your wishes can come true. I mean, have you seen Walmart Metaverse? Please do that. Yeah, like, I mean, it can be great, and it can be great immersive in a way, but it can be kind of dystopian and kind of scary as well. So I think a lot of things is about execution. If you replicate the same exact experience that you had in Web 2, but you have it in Web 3. I mean, no, the real life, yeah, to Web 3. I think that's not. It's the easy path in a way, but in the same time, um, it's off-putting for many people. Yeah, when I hear it about the fashion shows in the metaverse, or about some other metaverse recreations of something that's happening in the real world, many people are saying, no, it's not interesting. It's not for us. Like, why would we do the same exact stuff that we did before, but just in 3D. But I mean, so that just wanted to say, yeah, that I think it's more about recreation of those processes in 3D fully. Yeah, like how to completely change the idea how you explore experiences and how you look for things. So I think that one interesting case as well is composable graphs, right? Like that's something for Metaverse that I think is super exciting as well. That instead of having linear structures of the information, you can have graphs adopted and adjusted to your personalized ideas and your basically your choices. So instead of having like it's like personalized Facebook page, right? I mean, it's you would only see the stuff that interests you in this one virtual location that you build from the blocks that interests you or that you interact with. So the things that you interact with, many times they will be closer to your starting point, but things that you interact less would be farther away. And thanks to this, you have like graph of your interactions in the metaverse as a user, and you can basically explore in the spaces you like. And then if you like to explore more, you can go out of this bubble in a way and explore new things. So I think that's also some one of the subjects I'm exploring for our metaverse, how to make it in a way composable as well for users.
Oh, this is a new phenomena to me, and you call this composable graphs.
I'm not an expert in that, so we might be able to to think about it more. But I think that's what it is. You can check this out, but I think that's what it is, composable graph. And then when it can be done by user, but I think it can be done also by AI, which is looking at your operations and looking at your activity and then adapting the graph to your needs. So I think that's what I would say. In metaverse, it would work like this, that instead of exploring the city itself, you are entering your own space when you have the five best brands or project that you like, in your space, and then you see the others. So I think that's about how I feel it, and that's how we can do not only with the buildings, but maybe you can do this also exploring avatars or some other things.
Really, really insightful, and yeah, also being aware of your time and my time. I just have a couple of questions to wrap up with, and also to kind of peek into the future. And perhaps we can do just some rapid fire of some quick questions to run through, if that's okay with you,
Sure,
Simon.
no worries.
Yeah, so what is it you are most excited about for Maison DAO for the coming 6 months?
For the coming 6 months, I mean, I believe the establishment of the DAO itself and the minting process of the governance token and the whole building the structure in a decentralized way, that's the process that will basically be for the next 6 months, I believe. And that's what really excites me, because it's a great experiment in governance, it's a great experiment on blockchain, it's a great experiment in metaverse, to run a digital city, in a decentralized way, because we'll have like the Maison DAO itself, it will be a decentralized organization, on the levels of decentralizations, I would say. And then we are also launching Edge City itself. It's like one of the projects of Maison DAO is Edge City, and Edge City will be decentralized as well in the future. I mean, after we as a Maison DAO, like, after we move distribute all the land and all the stuff, the plan for it is to be autonomous as well. So that's very interesting. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really exciting. So, just concretely, like I know you did some cool stuff with Meta Ring, and you're working towards the decentralized city as well in the future. What are the things like users can now kind of invest to and do already with regards to MessenDAO, and what are the things that we can do in the coming months, or for example, 2022?
Yeah, I think the we are launching the Discord channel, and that will be the greatest way to get involved and be active in our community. We for now communicated in our team on many other channels, but now it's the start of community building as well. We already have enough stuff to show and that we are happy about, and that's how we wanted to start with some good content and some things that people can interact with online. And then that's, I think, it's a start. And then in the next month we're gonna have a soft launch, so actually you will be able to see the first district, this Genesis Act, with the artists themselves. So I think that will be the very exciting part to watch for.
Oh, really exciting. When and where can we find the updates of the? Will that be in the Discord then?
Yeah. So basically, we are running a Twitter account at Maison DAO, basically. So it's at Maison DAO. Then Instagram, maisondao.world, and there is Maison DAO account on LinkedIn. So these are like the three main ways we are communicating. And of course, there is a website and domain, maisondao.world. So people who are interested, they should mostly go to the website itself where they can find links for all the other stuff.
Ah, got it. Really excited. Well, when they are available and everything, the source and channels, we will share them as well on Metaverse Mentor, so the listeners and viewers can visit that. I have one closing question, which I get immensely, yeah, a lot on my channel, and yeah, then I'm just wondering what your closing message would be. A lot of people are interested, of course, that's perhaps also inherent to the crypto space. Like, okay, where can we invest? Where can we find these blue chip NFT projects and everything? And now it starts to pivot towards metaverses like virtual plots. And people think, or there is this conception that you can infinitely actually create virtual plots in principle if you would like. How do you think the economy of virtual objects works? Like how it is determined? Because yeah, in a sense you can create it unlimitedly, but I'm curious on your understanding of that economy because yeah, in my feeling there's a lot of different perceptions.
Yeah. From time to time, sure. No, from time to time, I'm answering this question on comments on LinkedIn basically because there are many people asking about it. Not me myself, but not myself many times, but I just see it somewhere, and I'm always trying to chip in and say about it that for me, of course, yeah, it might not look best. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's another time when it's difficult for me. That I'm that deep in that for me, it's not under like it's difficult to understand it why it's difficult to understand it. You understand? Like for me, it's I'm deep in it, and for me, it's kind of like you can say this about anything digital. Yeah, like why would you pay for a song if it's available anywhere? Why would you pay if you can make it for digital item when you can actually copy it and have millions of items? But it's about access. It's not about having it actually, but it's about access. And basically, what you are selling is not only virtual land, but access to your world. And I think that's it. On top of this, you have it's your idea. I think it's your freedom as a creator to decide how big you want to be, and you realize your concept according to this. For example, with Maison DAO, the idea was for Edge City actually to be very much limited. There will be only 100 virtual lands possible, and then users will have to collaborate and between each other to build more space on top of basically on top of each other. That's one of the things that were not communicated as for now officially, and it's in a white paper that's coming, but it's not officially said that it will be very limited. So it's only 100 plots, but then the whole sort of game and gamification will be that for users to grow their towers, they will need collaboration, they will need activity, they will need to be basically valuable member to grow their space in the future. And then if they grow their space, they can share it with others. So that will means that instead of buying or like launching, as you mentioned, impossible amounts of land because it's just possible. It's basically gamifying it to it that the community has to work together to build more, and that's the element of it. Yeah, they will have to do interesting stuff together so they can achieve it. Of course, there will be some other ways to achieve it as well. Not gonna lie. There will be many ways to achieve those upgrades and these things. But I mean, it's about the idea of the world, and I believe anything digital can be can be actually priced, and because there is not only about the digital file anymore. Yeah, it's about the access, about communities, and about um, how to say, yeah, the same with the cities. It's about premium address. That's also the combination that I see. You can probably buy acres of land outside of the city that will be super cheap in comparison to 1 meter in Manhattan, right? Yeah, in Manhattan you can pay a few thousands for a square meter, whereas yeah, I would say in Poland, for this 4K dollars you can actually buy acres of land. And I mean, that's exactly the case, and you have like thousands of acres available in Poland. It doesn't mean the acre is not priced, and then the value of the plot in Manhattan, where it's a much limited space, then it's even more expensive. But it means you can have as many things taken into account when you price things, and one of them is scarcity, but the second thing is access, or like being in, how to say, in being close. Yeah, there was a good word in English for it, vicinity. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, what is close to it. Yeah, when something cool is close to it, it's more expensive than the others, and I think that's the case. But also, to finalize this thought, I believe that there will be many different ways how virtual worlds will go around it. For example, as I mentioned, we have this idea, yeah, that there will be only 100 plots, and so there will be 100 main users. But it doesn't mean that they, as a host, they can have it with hundreds of others, right? It doesn't mean it's gonna be closed. But the idea of the game will look like this, yeah, that you have to build on top of each other to actually deliver more content, if you like. But others will be do it differently. But for example, I found the same idea. Yeah, I mean, I was developing this idea with 100 plots and selling this with districts by this, and there is I think Zoan or some other project which exactly is, I was they have an island, they have 100 plots in the island, and they're buying land, and when you buy land, you have credits that you can spend to build buildings. But in my case, I'm building it first and then selling it, so the building is on virtual land already, and you can either customize it, you can destroy it. It's your ownership, right? It's your thing. If you decide to destroy it, you are destroying part of the city, which have consequences in a way for you, right? Because you destroy the building, and yeah, like, you can do it. It's your case, yeah, but you are somehow removing something from the landscape to yeah from the ecosystem, and then you can build something more. And I think that's the storytelling that I was telling you previously, when I said that DAO and decentralized IPs and decentralized brands are actually what excites me the most. Because I think if you treat the digital city and its story as a storytelling mission, yeah, you have a city, there is a story of the city, then every owner of the city is actually building the story of it. Yeah, every owner of virtual land. So I mean, then when they, on the later stages, they are trading between each other, they are trading part of the story. Yeah, so maybe I can understand when somebody doesn't understand why at the beginning stages somebody pays for land. Yeah, maybe, yeah, for some cases I would say maybe. But then when it's already developed, then I feel like that's obviously the case, yeah, that people should be selling and interacting, because it's the same like you have in domains. Yeah, you can have your samir.com, but it will be very expensive for you to buy it, right? But you can register samir dot something dot something dot something on some subdomain for free, right? You can do it, but it doesn't mean the second one is better because it's free. It's the opposite around. Yeah. The one which is better is samir.com, which is expensive. Yeah, I imagine. If you can check this, but it will be thousands, right, of dollars.
Yeah, I tried to acquire Summer.eth, but
It's
unfortunately
free.
some smart guy acquired it already. But I have the one with my first and secondary name. But thanks for that, Simon. I think this is one of the most complete answers on a quite complex and still abstract theme within the metaverse, and it will evolve continuously. But just to summarize also for the listeners, so what Simon said, like, okay, access is an important component of it, scarcity, and market working, because essentially the market determines. And in your perfect example of Poland, where you have perhaps thousands of acres, this might be less valuable than 1 meter in New York. However, if Snoop Dogg buys a castle in the most random place in Poland, then the prices there start to appreciate ridiculously, as well as we saw in Sandbox. So it's completely contingent on the market factors there. So yeah, super exciting. I want to ask you for a closing message, but I think in a sense there was already a closing message, but I give it to you. So is there something, Simon, that you would like to close off with, like where you already said where they can find you, but perhaps something to reiterate or just to wrap this podcast?
No worries. No, no. Thank you very much. I think you're right that the case about the virtual land is kind of crucial, and it's a good ending point of this conversation today. That because it's like as you mentioned, complex issue. It's something that is on everyone's mind, and both on a creator side. I mean, yeah, people who are designing virtual worlds, they probably struggle and have they think about it, and the users, of course, and the collectors, they also think about it. Yeah, and I love philosophical aspects of it, exactly. Yeah, and also the financial ones that you already mentioned. Yeah, the market making is very important. Yeah, like the market decides. There is a invisible hand in a way. Yeah, in the market's theory. And I think it's also the same with the metaverse. Yeah, like people are deciding what they want to buy, what is the value, what is the potential of return, and they analyze all of this. And of course, on top of this, there is hype, right? And then the hype is also priced in the final amounts. So I think that's pretty interesting to look at those things from the perspective more philosophical, more structural as well. Yeah, why not only why would people buy it, but actually maybe why people would sell it afterwards. Like it's one thing to buy it and build it, but then why would you sell it if you build something great? So I think yeah, there are many questions to be answered, and I'm looking forward to do all of that on my journey. And I believe helping other designers, because that's what Maison DAO is about. We are giving tools to designers and those brands to actually develop NFT collections and have a space to promote them and to interact with their customer base, yeah, with their fans and with their community. And that's what we are about. And I'm super excited that you invited me today so I could share some more details about it. And yeah, and I love chatting with you. So I think it was also like just another pleasant experience, not really work.